Well, good morning, everybody. I'm going to cut right to the chase. Have you guys ever had a whole bunch of problems, woodyard related, and couldn't figure them all out? That's kind of where I'm at right now. There's all kinds of little problems around the woodyard, and usually a problem is a problem, right? And there's not always a solution or an answer to it, but after some thought, watching a few YouTube videos, and reading a lot of back comments that you guys have given me, I think I have created all these different problems into a solution. At least I think it's going to work. Now, I'm doing the video by myself because Karen's busy doing her LL Bean gig and bringing in the dollars, so you're stuck with me today. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by showing you a bunch of the problems that I'm talking about. And if you can follow along, because I tend to go off the beaten path a little here and there, but it's all relative and it's all going to come back around, and it just takes me a little explaining to get it all out to you. But I'll show you the problems and then what we're going to do for a solution. So stick with me. All right, so problem number one is this pile of chunks and short pieces and, well, not real nice stuff that's behind me. It's just piled up, and I got no room to work over there. So that's kind of why I haven't done any splitting in probably about a month. If you guys been watching, you know that. I haven't done anything on the splitter, because I don't know what I'm going to do with those. Now, you guys had a great idea earlier on this year to put them into totes. Well, that works great. And you know what? I'm just going to go show you. So, like I was saying, the chunks work great, and that was one of you guys' bright ideas, and it has worked. I had gotten some free totes, so we've been splitting the chunks, putting them in there, and we sold probably $500 or $600 worth of chunks this summer of the pine chunks. Now, I had some hardwood chunks that were dry, and you guys don't realize this, but I brought a couple pallets, not pallets, but those bins back to the house, and I fired up the wood boiler. I did that a few weeks back. And I had a couple pallets of uglies, and I've been burning that at the house. But I don't want to get too far off subject because I won't stop. So, but anyway, all the totes are full, you guys. So I don't have any place to put all those chunks that are right there at the wood splitter. And they're in the way of the wood splitter. So we got snow coming tonight. I mean, like tonight, there's 3 or 4 inches supposed to show up. I got to clean that up. So if I leave it there, it's going to get snowed in, and it's probably going to be there till spring, and it's going to be right in the way to split wood all winter. I can pick them up and go dump them in a pile up here and create another mess, but that's not a good idea either. So that pile of chunks down there is a problem. And I'm not going to go buy more totes because they're 75 bucks a piece. That ain't going to work. So let's go look at one of the other problems. All right, you guys. Problem number 2. Right here. 4-foot pallets. I'm trying to swap over from 4-foot pallets to the 6-foot pallets. And the reason I'm doing it is you can see how much airspace is between these rows. on these 4-foot pallets, they're only 4 foot wide and 4 foot deep. So it takes 3 rows to make a half a cord. And there's just no space in between them. They're also more expensive to build. I'm not sure if the camera shows it, but there's a bracket. There's 3 brackets on this side to hold these 3 uprights. And on the other side, there's 3 brackets to hold those 3 uprights. At $4 a bracket, that's $24 to build one of these pallets. That don't count the nuts and bolts and all the time to build it. So we're slowly swapping over to the 6-foot brackets. I mean the 6-foot pallets. You guys know what I mean. Now with the 6-foot pallets, there's only 2 brackets on each side. So that's $16 to build one of these pallets compared to $24. Less brackets, less sideboards, because there's only 2 rows. And look at the air gap that's between the wood. These 6-foot pallets work so much better than the 4-foot pallets. So that's why I've been in pallet mode lately, just building pallets to replace all these 4-foot pallets. Now, I don't have a use for all these 4-foot pallets. So I think in a couple videos ago, I brought like 20 of these things over to Dana so he could use them. But the rest of them, well, I'll just go show you that too. So after we deliver the wood that's on these 4-foot pallets, I've just been setting them up here up on top on the loading ramp and just heaping them and piling them up wherever. I mean, there's more down there, there's some over there, there's still a few up on the top side. They're all over the place around here, and I don't know, I mean, I really don't have a use for 4-foot pallets anymore, right? So that's kind of a problem. So any of you guys that have been following along know that I've been building pallets like crazy. Every night I go in and I don't know, I build 2, 3, 4 of them, whatever, and they're starting to add up. But something happened the other night while I was inside building pallets. All right, well, this isn't really related to what we're talking about, but you know, I'm kind of like a squirrel and I go in different directions, but I was walking by the sawmill and I figured I'd share this with you guys. Check this thing out. Huh? It's got bungee cords on both sides, and it's, well, what it's for is, I'll show you, it's made to protect your windshield up here in Maine. Now, when you go home at night, you throw one of them on and you take the bungee cord and you wrap it around each mirror. When you're going to get a snowstorm or a bunch of sleet and ice, and when you come out in the morning, you don't have to scrape an inch of ice off your window or let the defrost run for half an hour. But it was only like $4 at one of the discount places, and I said, you know, I think that would work good just to cover up the engine on the sawmill. So, hey, for $4 or $5, I got it with the bungee cords held on, and I think it's going to work good. But anyway, let me go show you the next problem. All right, so here's the third problem. Like I was saying earlier, I come in every night and I build some pallets. Well, I was sitting here building pallets the other night, and I went over in the back corner to grab more of the brackets that I put on here. There's no more brackets. I'm like, okay, well, I knew I had some out on a pallet. I went outside. I must have used them all, so I got no more brackets. So I went home. We were sitting there eating dinner, and I started talking to the Grand Poobah, Karen. I said, we got an added expense that we got to add on. She's like, huh? I says, I got to have more brackets so that I can keep building pallets. I mean, she looked at me and said, we weren't planning on spending $1,600 going into winter for brackets. That's not in the budget. I'm like, well, whatever. Like I always tell her, you got to make it happen. She just looked at me and said, it's not going to happen. So you better go figure it out. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's the other problem. I got no brackets. I got to have the 6-foot pallets because the 4-foot pallets aren't going to work. I got to get rid of the chunks. It's just a whole combination of things. So I couldn't sleep that night, and I got up probably about midnight, and I'm like, you know what, I'll just watch some YouTube videos. And who do you watch at midnight? Well, who puts out a video every single day is Chris in the Woodyard. So I was watching one of his, and he was building a pallet bin or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of neat, and whatever. So I ended up going back to bed, and I was down here the other day, and I'm like, you know, I wonder if I did build a pallet bin, because that's one of you guys' bright ideas. You're always telling me, Phil, build pallet bins. You shouldn't stack your wood. Well, that's a whole nother video that I can do to explain why I stack my wood instead of pallet bins. But in this particular case, it's the solution to all of these problems, and all of these problems are going to help fix that solution, if that makes any sense. I don't know. It didn't make any sense when I just said it, so. The hardwood probably it's not going to mold up on us, not like pine does. So I'm thinking I build a bin, a pallet bin, like you guys said, and just go put all those hardwood chunks in it. Because it's going to snow tonight. I got to do something with it, and it's got to happen today. So, in true Maine fashion, I'm waiting right to the last second. But I've already stripped a whole bunch of these 4-foot pallets. Got the brackets over there. The pallets are sitting outside. I didn't get that many done the other day. I don't know, maybe a dozen, 15 of them. But we're going to go down and try building a pallet bin. Put those chunks into the pallet bin. So I'll have that area cleaned up. Now, I've still got another problem. I've got all those 4-foot pallets with no sides on them. I mean, I didn't need them. I got no use for those 4-foot pallets. Now I do. We're going to build a pallet bin out of those 4-foot pallets. There's a solution. Or the problem is creating the solution. So, yeah, I don't know. I got some screws out in the truck, and there's pallets outside that already been stripped. So let's go build a pallet bin, and we'll hand bomb a bunch of chunks and get them in there somehow. If we get it built today, I don't know how big we're going to build this thing. We're not going to get very far today with it, but hopefully we can get enough of a pallet bin built to at least get those chunks in here. And I've probably got enough of these brackets in here from stripping them pallets to build another 30 more pallets. Because it's going to snow and I'm going to be working inside, so I can keep working. We got all kinds of solutions. So let's go get something done. All right, I think I got things kind of set up here. I'm right along this edge And I've set in a good 8 feet because I think eventually that once this settles or it rains, this banking might give out a little bit. So that's why I set in a little bit. Now I'm putting 4x4s down to go underneath of the pallets. I don't think most people do that. They just chuck the pallets down. But I've seen what a pallet looks like after 6 months of laying on the ground. They're already starting to rot. So after a couple years, I'm thinking pallets are pretty well junk. And what are pallets made out of, you guys? Wood? And what are they held together with? Nails. Now here's a little fact for you that I bet you didn't know. I bet you didn't know that rubber is magnetized. It is. Proven fact. Rubber is magnetized. Don't believe me? How many of you guys ever driven down the road and if there's one nail somewhere on the road, it's going to end up in your tire? I'm telling you, tires are magnetized. It just draws those nails right to them. And after 2 or 3 years, if I leave these pallets on the ground, they're going to rot, they're going to break down, and you got to clean up the mess. Well, you're never going to get all of the nails. And I don't know how many of you guys have ever changed an 800-pound or 1,000-pound tractor tire. It's no fun. It's not like changing a car tire. So I want all the lifespan I can get out of these pallets, and that's why I'm going to put them up on the 4x4s, just to give that airspace underneath. And with more airspace, it should help the wood dry a little bit better, I think. I don't really know, but I know I don't want nails in my tires, so that's what I'm going to do. All right, so this is coming together a lot faster than I thought it was going to go together, but I got the 4x4s underneath. I counted out how many pallets I've got stripped of all the metal brackets and sideboards and whatnot, and I can only come out 3 pallets, so 4, 8, 12 feet right now, until I get some more brackets stripped out, but I'll get to those. I went and got some screws this morning, so I'm going to just start screwing these together, and I guess we'll just kind of see how it all goes together. And all right, well, this is working out rather well, you guys. I'll kind of take you around a little bit here so you can see it, but I'm kind of liking this, actually. I mean, I got a really good airspace down on the bottom here. It's holding them pallets up off the ground. So yeah, I think this is going to work out rather good. All right, so a little bit of a change of plans. I did get the sides on, across the back. There's even a couple cross pieces right there to kind of tie the corners together. But instead of running the boards across, I was like, you know, there's just a couple screws going in each one right here. And that might not make it. And I was up the garage getting a battery charged, and I've got all these ropes that came off the sideboards. Now, they weren't long enough to go across. So, I mean, I did have to kind of tie them together here, but you can see that one down there. And I just brought them across and tied them off. So I would think the ropes are going to hold it just fine. So All right, you guys, I got to tell you, I am some awful tickled pink that all this worked out. I mean, this is going to work really, really good. And to stop and think what we had to work with, a whole bunch of problems, and all the problems fixed one another in a roundabout way. I mean, now I haven't wanted, like I said, I haven't wanted to split wood. It's a disaster up there. She told me I couldn't buy any brackets. I didn't have a use for these pallets, and I put a lot of work into building these pallets. There's a lot of time, a lot of effort sawing the lumber, building them, and I hated to just chuck them. You know, you just never want to chuck something that you put a lot of work into, and now I got a good use for them. So with you guys' help, because you guys leave comments and stuff, and like I've said in the earlier, you know, Phil, build a pallet bin, and well, I'm probably never going to build bins like this to dry my wood in. It's just not going to happen, and I'll do a video and explain why, because it's not just because of drying. But for these chunks, bingo, this worked. I got a use for my pallets. It's a win all the way around. I mean, just how often does a whole bunch of problems create the solution? It doesn't happen. Not in my world, but it did today, and I get to share that with you guys. But I only got maybe 45 minutes of light left. There's still a mess up at the splitter. All that chafe is around the bottom. There's another little pile of locust wood there that's bone dry that I had split. I'm going to bring that in the shop, I think, and burn that in there. Try and get things cleaned up, and you know what? If everything's cleaned up, next video is probably going to be about splitting, because I've been itching to go splitting. And there's no question about it. I mean, it's been like a month, and that's too long not to be splitting firewood, especially on a firewood channel, right? So, we'll get back at that, but all right. I appreciate it, you guys, and keep leaving the comments. I might not always use them, but I am reading them and I'm paying attention to it. So it doesn't always work for what I'm going to do, but sometimes there's a different version of it and I can make it work. But anyway, I've yapped long enough and I'm going to let you guys go. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right. Bye.